Gulgola, the city of screams. In the shadow of the towering cliffs of the Bamiyan Valley, Gulgola thrived as a prosperous, fortified city. Its high walls and strategic location made it an impenetrable stronghold, a beacon of wealth and culture amidst the rugged Afghan landscape. But in the 13th century, the city's name would be etched in history not for its grandeur, but for its screams, the echoes of a tragedy born from vengeance and betrayal. The sun was setting over the valley, casting golden light across the stone walls of Gulgola. Merchants packed up their goods from the bustling market. Children ran through narrow alleys, and the aroma of spiced meat and baked bread filled the air. Inside the ruler's palace, the city's leaders gathered around a long wooden table, discussing the looming threat on the horizon: the Mongols. Word had traveled fast. Genghis Khan's armies were unstoppable, leaving cities in ruins and rivers running red with blood. The great conqueror had reached the lands near Bamiyan, his reputation as a force of devastation striking fear into the hearts of rulers across Central Asia. But the lord of Gulgola, a proud and defiant leader, stood his ground. "They demand submission," the ruler spat, slamming his fist onto the table. "Do we cower like cowards? Number this city has stood for centuries. Our walls are strong, our soldiers brave. Let Genghis Khan come. We will show him that Gulgola is no easy prey." The council murmured uneasily. While the ruler's words were bold, everyone in the room knew the stories. The Mongols were unlike any enemy they had ever faced. Genghis Khan's forces moved like a shadow over the land, overwhelming cities with sheer numbers and unmatched brutality. The devastation they left behind was so total, it was as though the cities had never existed. And yet, the ruler's decision was final. There would be no surrender. Days later, Genghis Khan's army appeared at the gates of Gulgola. The sight was terrifying. Tens of thousands of Mongol warriors stretched across the valley like an unending wave. Their banners fluttered in the wind, and the ground shook with the thundering of hooves. At the head of the army, Genghis Khan sat on his horse, his piercing gaze fixed on the city that dared to defy him. Beside him stood his grandson, Mutukan, a fierce warrior beloved by his grandfather. Genghis Khan raised a hand, and a messenger rode to the city gates. His voice echoed through the valley. "Surrender, and your lives will be spared. Resist, and you will face the wrath of the Khan. You have until sunrise to decide." The city's ruler stood atop the walls, glaring down at the Mongol army. He called back his answer without hesitation: "We do not bow to tyrants." The messenger returned to Genghis Khan, and the conqueror's face darkened. He was not a man accustomed to defiance. "Prepare the siege," he commanded. The attack began at dawn. Mongol engineers constructed massive siege towers and battering rams, hurling fire and stones against the city walls. Arrows rained down from the battlements as the defenders fought with desperation. Days turned into weeks, and still, Gulgola held. But Genghis Khan was relentless. Each day, his army grew closer to breaching the city's defenses. Inside the walls, supplies dwindled, and the once confident ruler began to falter. Whispers of discontent spread among the people. And then, one fateful night, betrayal struck. A group of conspirators, tired of the siege, fearful for their lives, slipped out of the city under cover of darkness. They carried with them secrets of the city's defenses, maps of hidden weaknesses in the walls. When they reached the Mongol camp, they knelt before Genghis Khan and revealed the vulnerabilities of Gulgola. With this knowledge, the Mongols launched their final assault. Under the cover of night, they breached the city's walls. Chaos erupted as soldiers and civilians alike tried to flee, but there was no escape. The Mongols showed no mercy. Streets once filled with life were now rivers of blood. Fires consumed the market, the palace, and the homes of the people. It was during this carnage that tragedy struck Genghis Khan himself. In the heat of the battle, his grandson Mutu Khan was killed, struck by an arrow from a desperate defender. When news of Mutu Khan's death reached the Khan, his grief turned to fury. "Burn it all," he ordered. "Leave nothing standing. Let their screams be a warning to the world." The destruction of Shaher-i-Gulgola was total. The city was reduced to ruins, its people slaughtered. The cries of the dying echoed through the valley, so haunting that they would give the city its grim name, the City of Screams. In the days that followed, Genghis Khan stood among the ashes of the once great city. His face was carved with grief, his heart heavy with the loss of his grandson. But his message was clear. No one defied the Khan and lived to tell the tale. The ruins of Shaher-i-Gulgola were left untouched, a monument to the horrors of war and the cost of defiance. Travelers who passed through the Bamiyan Valley whispered of the city's tragic fate, of the betrayal that brought it down and the vengeance that consumed it. Even today, the remnants of Shaher-i-Gulgola stand as a silent reminder of that fateful time. The wind howls through its crumbled walls, carrying with it the echoes of the screams that once filled the air. And though centuries have passed, the story of the City of Screams lives on, a tale of pride, betrayal, and the devastating wrath of Genghis Khan.